Why do YouTube channels fail? If you're a YouTube content creator who might be struggling right now in this season of creating content, trying to figure out this whole YouTube thing, then I'm so excited for you to be a part of today's episode where I bring my friend Rob from vidIQ on, and we're going to be talking about the 5 main reasons that most YouTube channels are failing. All that and more coming up. Hey, what's up? My name is Heather Torres from the Think Media team, and you are watching the YouTube Made Simple show, where we help you overcome fear, build confidence, and launch and grow a successful YouTube channel. And today I am joined by my friend Rob over at vidIQ, who just hit 1 million subscribers. I'm so excited for him to be on today. And if you don't know who Rob is vidIQ's YouTube in residence, meaning he's the go-to guy when it comes to understanding all the ins and outs of how vidIQ and how YouTube really works. He started out on YouTube in 2012 making videos about tech before he joined the vidIQ team. And today he is hard at work sharing everything he's learned on the YouTube platform, educating video creators on how to grow their own channels and turn their hobbies into a career, just like Rob did in 2017. So let's bring Rob up today. Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Hello, Heather. Thank you for having me on. Hello. I like to call this gang of people the Think Meteorites. And may I just say, Heather, as somebody who goes live every single week and always fumbles over their words, that was a perfect, seamless introduction. Well done to you.
Well, thank you. I know it's so hard. I was thinking right before we went live, I'm like, what is the hook? What am I doing? How am I going? Every single time, Rob, I go live, I have to like think through what I'm saying and doing. But I'm so excited. Hey, congrats on 1 million subscribers, Rob. Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
Yes, I'm looking enviously at your gold play button in the background, but not for very much longer. Apparently, it's in the mail as we speak. I'm not
Amazing.
tracking it on Google Maps every other second. I promise you that. Okay, it's just gone through Las Vegas. No, I'm not paying attention to that. We need to focus on today's topic.
Oh my goodness, so exciting. What a huge milestone. And today we're going to talk about how YouTube channels fail. And really a lot of this is from, you coaching hundreds if not thousands now of YouTube content creators through your live streams, through your coaching programs you guys have at vidIQ and all the things you guys have available. And I'm excited because you've really boiled it down to these 5 reasons. We're going to talk about it today, and then we're going to go into Q&A. So if you have questions for Rob or myself, just put 4 question marks before and after in the live chat if you're watching this live. And if you're on the replay and you're like, Heather, I have a question, but I was at work when you guys streamed, still drop that in the chat, because that allows us to go back and I'm in there answering questions additionally to this live stream. So if you got a question on the replay, make sure to post that down in the comments. But Rob, we're going to lead into number 1, which is that a channel only fails when the creator quits. Let's jump into that, Rob, because you've got some insights into what this actually means.
Yeah, I think, we can talk about so many things with YouTube in terms of click-through rate, thumbnails, audience retention, etc., etc. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when you finished your YouTube things for the day, it's a mindset. Where are you on your journey? And a lot of people who are getting frustrated and, they haven't got as many views or they aren't getting as many subscribers as they feel they deserve. That simply means that your current expectations don't meet your current reality. And every creator at some point has gone through this. I mean, if you're in the live stream right now, just raise a hand if you've ever felt that moment of struggle or failure. Because boy, myself, Heather, Sean, everyone at Think Media team, they've probably gone through those moments in their YouTube journeys. And I know this is a bit of a cliched example, but I think it's still the best one. Mr. Beast, who started his YouTube channel almost 10 years ago, made hundreds of terrible videos playing the same game everybody else was. He had a terrible camera, terrible audio, terrible editing, terrible everything. But over the course of, tens of thousands of hours and the dedication and commitment he's put into his channel, he's figured it out pretty much better than anyone else on the planet. But he started out exactly the same as many of you. And that is just simply having the ability to make videos, having a camera, having access to the internet, and a YouTube account. And that's where we all start. And I think ultimately for a lot of us, it's all in our own minds and determination as to where we end up. And, um, for years, Mr. Beast's videos look like this. He's getting hundreds of views per video. And it took him years to start to see that mountain climb and the momentum build to where he's now getting tens of millions of views every single video. And it boils down to, and I'm wearing a shirt right now almost, it's create, learn, really importantly, adapt, and then repeat. Don't just do the same thing over and over again, expecting different things to happen. And I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with this image or a similar one where you're working very, very hard and you don't feel as if you're getting the payoff from YouTube. And many creators just don't stick around long enough for that hard work to start paying off. And I feel as if there are far too many stories of people who are really dedicated to their craft, working very hard for years and years and years to become great content creators, and to finally find that success for it to be a fluke or a whim of YouTube's algorithms. And you were just saying at the beginning of this, Heather, we at vidIQ recently hit 1 million subscribers, but behind all of that, there's been a team who've worked with me, Travis, Alexi, Jeff, on the channel audits that we've been working on for live streams for years. And I myself have been making content for 10 years now, I think. I know, looking at my old channel and the vidIQ channel, I've now done over 2,000 videos, which sounds incredible. I've put tens of thousands of hours into this to reach this landmark. But still, every day I have these moments of doubt where I'm feeling like I'm failing. But I've never stopped. And I keep turning up. I keep making content, and I'm still relentless, just like everybody who's listening to this or watching this live stream right now.
Yeah, it's so important too. I mean, when you think about trying to be good at anything, it's so much about just putting in the hours, putting in the time, and not quitting. And Rob, I mean, you've probably gone through seasons, right? Where seasons where you had a bunch of time where you could do this, and seasons where it was everything to get out of bed and make that
Yeah.
video. Talk about that just a little bit too, because I think sometimes we think, oh, well, yeah, I mean, okay, it's easy for him, or yeah, it's easy for her. But Rob, there's so many times where really making the video is the last thing that you want to do.
Yeah, actually, I think the final point covers that in quite a bit of detail, Heather. So if we're okay to hang on for that,
Yeah,
if that's fine by you.
I'm
Yeah, because I mean, right now, I'm actually going through this moment of an existential crisis, just as we've limped over 1 million subscribers almost. But we'll come back to that because I've
we'll
made
come
some
back.
detailed notes of that.
I love it.
So the next thing we want to talk about is, and now we're getting more into the YouTube side of things, not necessarily the mindset, but the creator's approach to content. And again, it's something you've probably heard before, but it is so important, and we want to try and reinforce this point so many times. It's a lack of focus. We are talking now to hundreds of people, but these are actual human beings who value their time, and they want to get value from that time. And so when you're creating content for the actual human beings that are watching your content, they have particular tastes, values, and interests. And I think, and this is kind of like a personal opinion, but generally regarded as an accepted approach when you're first starting out your YouTube channel, is to try and build out the perfect avatar, or who is your ideal viewer. Now, this is just a rough example of how vidIQ creates their perfect viewer. At the moment, they tend to be male, 18 to 35, and I think that's because they have predominantly a male presenter. We're looking to hopefully change that into next year, having a range of presenters on the channel, but that's where we are right now. Generally, the creator tends to have been on YouTube for less than a year, but they have a serious side hustle, which is YouTube. And I want to potentially turn that into a money-making part of their life. And so, because of that, their current goal is somewhere along the lines of 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time, monetize. However, I don't know how many times Think Media's been asked this question, but we're always asked this question about 4,000 hours of watch time, subscribers, monetization, and so on. It's that big thing. YouTube is setting these requirements, and when creators start, they see this as the first big milestone to start earning some money back from what they do. But they're frustrated with their progress. Then maybe 6 months down the line, and they're getting 50 to 100 views per video, and it feels like the goals that they've set are still far out of reach. But they've likely had some success somewhere. They've had one video that's really popped, or a couple of videos that have really resonated with their audience, but they've probably not capitalized on it. They've not doubled down on their successful content. So they've shown signs of potential, but they don't know how to maximize it. And they've probably searched on YouTube how to get more views and subscribers, because that's the thing you search for. And my response to that is always, it's not just about views and subscribers. There's so much that goes into those, I guess, milestone targets that you're searching for. So roughly speaking, there's a lot more detail to this, but roughly speaking, that would be an ideal viewer for vidIQ. And because of that, our intention with every single video is to make a video for that person. I know it sounds like you're really pigeonholing yourself and going after one particular person, but if you know who you're talking to with the exact same thoughts, passions, values, and so on, you're going to hit that one target audience, but it's also going to branch out into people who have very similar interests. So in terms of lack of focus, that's where I'm really trying to even nail down our ideal persona even now. I mean, Heather, what about Think Media? I guess it's a little bit broader because you have a lot of videos on camera tutorials, but also YouTube education. But I guess you're able to do that with the larger team there at Think Media.
Yeah, I think the team dynamic definitely helps. And but really, Rob, even with that, I mean, I want to make videos on other things that don't necessarily give us the exact it doesn't lead to the exact same
Yeah, yeah,
responses that we would want, right? Like, I mean, we want to start creating things on thought leadership and of other things, but really it's like keeping the focus on the main thing being the main thing. And I loved how you said even just knowing what your avatar is even coming to YouTube for makes such a huge difference. And it will feel like you're talking about the same thing over and over. And you are, right, Rob? Like you are talking about
yeah.
it over and over. But that newest video that you just posted, that is actually just a repeat of the video you did 4 years ago, but it was the one with the thumbnail and the thing that the person saw was their first introduction to you. And I think
Sure.
sometimes we forget that we need to be saying the same things louder. Not, oh, I said that already. Oh, I did that already. Oh, they already know that. No, there are new people. Rob, you just hit 1 million. I mean, you guys are growing by thousands of subscribers every single month that have never known you yet, that are
Yeah.
just new to this. And so for content creators to just be remembering that the lack of focus sometimes could also feel like, well, I want to get to the new thing. I want to do the next thing because I've already said it once.
And at Think Media, now you wanted to branch out into thought leadership. You've earned that right. You've built up that audience who are now, in love with your content and really value what you have to say about YouTube education. But now I want more from vidIQ.
Mhm,
Sorry, I want more from Think Media. Take me on a journey elsewhere.
mhm,
So I think that's what Think Media is able to do. And you're right as well in terms of when you present a concept in 6 to 12 months time, there's probably new thoughts and ideas about that concept, but also you're a better creator and you can tell whether it's a story or you can educate people in a much better way. We're actually now going into 2022. We're redoing our videos on how to get 1,000 subscribers and how to get 100 subscribers, because we've learned, even us have learned
mhm.
so much in that time. And we're thinking of trying to tell a story of how we went from your very first subscriber to 1 million subscriber, and we're already starting making content on that series. So yeah, a lack of focus and continue to reinforce that focus all of the time
Yeah, yeah.
in terms of your channel.
Yeah, and, even well, we're gonna get to it in just a little bit. So let's go into number 3, Rob. I have
Yeah.
so many comments about the last 2 that I'm just so excited about, but let's get into the
Oh
3rd
boy,
one,
makes me
um,
nervous.
which is, front loading your efforts. Talk about what that actually means as a content creator and
Yeah.
why channels are failing because 'cause they're not understanding this concept.
So there's a lot that goes into each and every video, but the bottleneck, which everything must flow through, are the following things, which sometimes get neglected, or in more often than not, get done at the last minute or at the end. So I'm going to use quite a primitive triangle here to show you the funnel of what I mean here. Whenever every video starts with an impression, so that's a title and a thumbnail. And hands up again, who often leaves this until the last thing that they do, almost like they've uploaded a video and now in the optimization process are really starting to think a lot about the title and the thumbnail, which is almost like a backwards way of thinking about your content. If you think about how you're going to get somebody to click and how to intrigue them with the title, that may help govern the flow of the video that you're going to make. And in the 2,000 videos that I've made, I think 99.9% of them, I've done this backwards. I've done the thumbnail and the title in the opposite way. So I'm really trying to teach myself, as a creator who's got 1 million subscribers, I'm really trying to teach myself, re-engineer how I make my content. And then after every impression, when you get a click, all of those clicks are going to at least watch the first 5 to 10 seconds of your video. And so the video hook is absolutely crucial. I'm not going to talk about the video intro. I'm talking about the video hook to keep them watching the content. So in terms of like your outros and the core of your content, of course, those are very important, but everybody must go through these first 3 principles. So let's think a little bit more about titles. We could probably do a 24-hour live stream on thumbnails. So I'm going to boil it down to 2 things today to really think about. However long you spend on your thumbnails right now, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, just for the next few thumbnails, I want you to spend twice as long making them, to really think about that postage-sized image that you're making to encourage a click. And then I'm trying to think of a better way to phrase this, but it hasn't quite stuck in my head yet. But however complex your thumbnails are, make them twice as simple or half as complicated. What I mean by that is, let's say your thumbnail has 4 people in it. Well, the next one only have 2 people in. If it's got 5 items in it, maybe only have 2 items in. If it's got 6 dominant colors, tailor it back down to 3 dominant colors. Because, and this is thanks to one of the videos I watched on Think Media, actually, Heather. Nolan made a video about how Netflix research has recently shown that users spend, on average, just 1.8 seconds looking at a thumbnail, which is essentially this. And that's it. That's how long you get somebody looking at your thumbnails. They need to make sense in 1.8 seconds. So just think about that when you're designing how complex it is. Titles. There are several things that you want to think about to make sure that the title helps with a thumbnail. And that is relatively short if you're trying to promote an emotional response out of a human being. Remember, these titles have been read by humans. Don't think of a title as something that you just stuff keywords into and that's going to help YouTube make it more searchable. Somebody may be looking at your title and somebody may be clicking on it. Try to avoid repetition, just including the title in the thumbnail and vice versa. The best titles actually complement or marry up to the thumbnails. Somebody sees a thumbnail, they then look at the title, and that's the final moment of intrigue before they click. And these are all things that you will learn over time. So again, these are all very, I guess, broad strokes looks at titles. And Think Media certainly got some excellent videos on titles and thumbnails specifically. The video hook. I'm sure you are relatively familiar with this type of graph, your audience retention, and it looks like a hockey stick. And if you fail to hook a viewer at the beginning of a video, then you'll end up with what we can see here. So, thousands, sometimes millions of people saw your thumbnail, but then 15 minutes into that video, 3% of the people who clicked on that thumbnail are still watching, which just, it's not a good use of your time. Like from, I would say 30 seconds into this video, you've already lost a third of your audience. So fix this part first, the video hook. For example, let's say we were going to do a video hook if this live stream was a video on demand. Instead of doing an intro, which sounds something along the lines of, "Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to Fit Media. We're going to educate people on how to grow their YouTube channels. Make sure to subscribe, etc., etc., etc." Think about a video hook, which might be something along the lines of this. The reason you fail at YouTube is because you suck at making videos. But that's okay. Everyone else does. Let's fix it right now. And that would be a video hook versus a video intro.
Wow, Rob, already so much value. And I hope you're seeing, how all of these pieces of YouTube, it's not just like coming to the channel or coming to the platform and just making videos. There's like a science behind it. And I love how you had that triangle with the three pieces, that those are so important. I think about my previous life in, digital advertising. Man, when it comes to anything, the social media, YouTube specifically, is so visual. And when I think about people that I would work with, Rob, who were advertisers, who went to school for, degrees in graphic design, all these pieces, it was because it's so critical for magazines, for digital ads, for YouTube thumbnails to be visually stimulating to the point where someone wants to click and get more. You can make the best video possible, but if it's behind a crappy thumbnail and a bad title, no one's going to click on it, right, Rob?
Yeah, I'm right in thinking that Think Media has a dedicated person for solely making thumbnails. That's right, isn't it? You consider it so important that you have somebody probably spending hours deciding whether to use a bright red or a crimson red. Or, like, should my fonts be in italic or in bold? Should header be on the right side of the screen, the left hand side of the screen? That's so crucial. I know, obviously, resources allow you to do that. But I think, just generally speaking, people spend 5% of their time on the thumbnail when, and we've actually been asking this at vidIQ, for smaller channels, is it almost the case that the thumbnail and the title are actually more important than the content, because you have such limited opportunities in terms of your reach to get people to click? It's an open for debate, and that sounds ridiculous, but when you really start to think about it, yeah, especially for smaller creators they've got maybe 1,000 impressions to play with, how crucial is it just to win the click?
Yeah, it really is. And yeah, we do. It started out Sean making all of the thumbnails, and that was really his role for several years in the company. And then as we were able to grow, now, yeah, we do. We have Ian on our team, and he is, I mean, you could even see in Think Media's library where Ian came in, where he really started to come in and just really level up the branding and what the thumbnails look like. And I mean, he is a graphic designer that came from that background of movie posters and from, Neflix. I mean, he has a huge background in digital design, and it matters so much. But Rob, your point about keep it simple. Keep it simple. This is the YouTube Made Simple show, Rob. And I love that you brought that point up, because people overcomplicate these things. They overcomplicate titles, and they overcomplicate the thumbnail of their video. So it's so amazing that you brought up the point that you just got to make these thumbnails simple. And we'll make sure to link that video that you recommended as well, that Nolan did, about what Neflix says. And also there's a great book called Hook Point. So your point about hooks, Rob, that is so important. We are losing attention. People are losing attention. And we want to make sure that you understand, what is a hook? What is the hook of a video, and why is it so important? So I'll make sure to link that resource down below. But Rob, before we get into the next point, I want to just shout out a few people that are here live, that are watching. Maximum Your Gauge is here. Gil is here. We've got All Things Wagner is here. And if you're getting value already from these points that Rob did, Rob, what should they do? They should hit the like button, right? Hit that like button. Yes, hit that like button.
Hit this one, but it's I'm gonna
down here,
about
down
there,
here.
about there. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, nobody can see the dislike button anywhere, and you don't get counts from it anymore, so it's pointless pressing it.
Exactly, exactly. So hit the like button. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, you're here right now. You're on our Think Media podcast channel. So if you're not subscribed here, make sure you're subscribed because we have an amazing podcast episode that's coming up. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it after Rob gives one of his points because it's so aligned for the next thing that you should watch here on the channel. But Rob, let's go ahead and get into your next point, which is my favorite word that I know a lot of people do not like, Rob. This is a word that people really struggle with a lot. So tell them what point number 4 is.
It is commit to consistency. Usually, when somebody says consistency on YouTube, they default think that it is post X number of videos per week. And while that is one of the aspects of consistency, it's a lot more than that. When I do channel audits, I often, when I look at a certain channel, I see they're going in all sorts of different directions. I'll summarize it by saying, okay, so your commitment to consistency for the next 4 or 5 videos might be just making thumbnails that are really consistent. You know, they don't look as if they've been designed by a different channel every single time. Or you're making a video for the ideal viewer every single time. Or you're keeping a consistent style and format in terms of the length of a video or the style of a video. And the reason I'm saying this, and as you grow as a creator, you can start to experiment, and you should always be experimenting. I'd say 20% of the time. But if you're committing to consistency 80% of the time on your content in all aspects, what you're doing there is you're creating a familiarity with your content and an expectation with your viewers. And if you're meeting those expectations and satisfying those viewers every single time, then if you're consistent with that, those viewers turn into return viewers. Are they going to return to your content and not just watch one of your videos, but watch multiples of your videos? I'm trying to avoid the word subscribers because I personally feel that while subscribers mean that you hit certain milestones and you get rewards and trophies, the crucial thing is that that is just a moment in time when somebody pressed a red button. It is not a commitment by them to watch future content. It just means that they have more access to your content. But return viewers actually reflect those who are starting to align more with your values and the stories that you're telling or the education that you're providing, and they want to become more involved in your values and your passions, and then they may become super fans, awesome members of the community, just like everybody watching right now. And then ultimately, if you're trying to turn your channel into a business and monetize it, they may start investing in your products and services. And that's generally done through committing to your own consistency.
Mm. Oh man, Rob, the commitment to consistency. Oh, where's Rob? There's Rob.
Hey,
Okay. The commitment to consist I'm down here pressing all the buttons. Is so critical. And wow, say that one more time, Rob, because that was a huge unlock. The piece about the subscribers, they're just someone who hit a red button, right? But
yeah.
it's the return viewers that really caught the comments. So just say that one more, give a little more depth into that. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So I'm sure you've had this situation where a commenter on a channel has said, hang on, why should I pay any attention to you? You've got like a million subscribers, but your videos only get 20,000 views or whatever. And while that is true, I think any creator who's gone on the journey would never raise that issue or concern, because subscribers, that term, are very fickle. They're pressing a red button, but once they've pressed that red button, it is so important what you show that subscriber or that viewer next. Because if the next video doesn't align with the values and expectations that you've set in previous videos, it doesn't matter if they're subscribed. They're not going to click on the next video. And because subscribers never expire, if you haven't watched a video for 30 days, it doesn't mean that YouTube's automatically going to unsubscribe you. But now that's actually bringing up an idea in my head. Maybe I should propose that to YouTube. That's a really interesting thought, that. Anyway, before I get sidetracked, think of it from this point of view. Let's say somebody watched one of your videos last week. That viewer is more likely to see your next video recommended in home or suggested or elsewhere than somebody who subscribed to your channel 18 months ago and hasn't watched any of your content since. It's those return viewers who are actually feeding data into your channel in terms of clicks and watch time and comments that are far more valuable than subscribers. Unfortunately, with the business that we're in terms of YouTube education, many people start their YouTube journeys, they subscribe, they get frustrated, and they decide to stop creating content. So they are, I guess, effectively a dead subscriber. So yeah, I'm still on this sort of semi-crusade to try and educate people that while subscribers are crucial for unlocks, at least up until the first 1,000 subscribers, it's really nourishing return viewers and making sure that they're satisfied and they continue to watch your content.
Yeah, and when we bring it back to the commitment for consistency, it's not necessarily consistency to gain subscribers then, right, Rob? It's consistency for the return viewer. You want to keep
Yeah.
giving them content that is helpful, that is answering questions that they have, that is helping them with whatever it is, whether it be plumbing or baking or bike riding, whatever your topic is. You're committing to consistency for the people who really have already raised their hand, right? Like it is about gaining more, but really it's so much about consistency for you as a content creator and consistency to show up. So why do YouTube channels fail? Because people just stop showing up. I mean, think about, Rob, if we were friends and you and I, and we were always on the phone, we're video chatting, we're doing all those things. And then all of a sudden, Rob, you just ghost me. Well, then I wouldn't want to come back, right? So it's that same idea. We're just pulling it into the platform. So, Rob, number one was that a channel only fails when the content creator quits. I loved that you brought up Mr. Beast and just how he's been at this for so long. Number two was the lack of focus. We got to stay focused. We got to know what we're doing this for, why we're doing it, and how we're going to do it. Three is the front load your efforts, meaning that your title, your thumbnail, and your hook really, really matter. Number four, commit to consistency. Let's jump into number five, Rob, and then we're going to get into some Q&A for the people that are here live for today.
Okay, so I'm going to leave myself a little bit of an out here. I do need to leave, a tiny margin for error, but 99.9% of the time, it's not YouTube's fault that your channel is failing. People often fail to take accountability for their channels. They just assume that YouTube is against them. And we've seen this many times on vidIQ comments where somebody will say, I've done everything you've said in your YouTube education and my channel isn't growing. And then we'll take a cursory glance at their channel, and within 2 seconds, we've seen that they've got a lack of focus and their thumbnails just aren't that clickable yet. Now, I want to give you a bit of a personal story, as we were kind of briefly mentioning earlier on. Right now, the vidIQ channel is down in terms of views around about 25 to 30% from where we were last quarter. So we tend to do like 2 million views a month, and we're down at like 1.6 million views right now. Now, the reason for this is because search traffic is down. Less people are searching for how to get more views, how to get more subscribers, so on and so forth. And this is down to, and I think you mentioned this earlier, Heather, this is down to seasonality changes, in the sense that, yes, people go back to school, but it's just a general feeling that, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, that we're coming up to the holiday season, people are just generally busier with life, be it work, education. It's getting darker at night, and people perhaps they're winding down towards the end of the year, or they're just busy with life. And so maybe YouTube, the side hustle, takes a bit of a backseat. But if I just left it there and said, okay, well, I'll wait until the search traffic builds up again, I'm using that as an excuse. I'm not taking accountability for what vidIQ could potentially do to improve that. And that is, I think, as a channel in the past, we've relied too much on search, one-time viewers. So what we need to do as a channel is satisfy those viewers more so that they return to our content, and we do that through the things that we've talked about earlier on. Better thumbnails, better titles, better video hooks, and more engaging content, more personable content, more relatable content, trying to be more of a friend to our audience. We need to get those viewers to the end of our videos to send them off to more of our content through end screens. So you don't just have one-time views, you have session watch time. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking like personal accountability for this. Yes, at the moment search may be down. So what I'm really focusing on is increasing the audience view duration after the first 30 seconds. I'm trying to get that above 70% so that the hook is really powerful. I'm trying to increase click-through rate on the end screens because up until a couple of months ago, our end screen click-through rate was a shocking 2% because I just neglected that area of our content. Now I'm really starting to think about how to direct our viewers onto more of our content. End screen click-through rates have multiplied by a factor of 5. I think we're up by about 12 or 14% click-through rate. So I'm not blaming YouTube for the fact that our views are down. I am holding myself accountable and learning and attempting to become a better creator for that. Now, yeah, there are sometimes weird anomalies and circumstances where all of a sudden it feels like YouTube has flicked a switch and your channel's being shadow banned and all of a sudden your views are down. And that is where maybe you need to contact YouTube and investigate why. But usually, when there's a gradual increase or decrease in your data, your views, your subscribers, there is usually something behind that story. And that's where you have to say to yourself, okay, I need to find out what this is. This can't just be YouTube. There must be a reason for this. Whether my audience isn't interested in my content anymore, this topic isn't interesting anymore because it was a trending topic. What is the reason? How can I adapt? Remember what I said earlier: create, learn, adapt, create, repeat. Oh,
And repeat. There we go. I was like
there we go.
clicking and repeat. That's exactly right, Rob. Well, man, 5 amazing topics as to why YouTube channels fail. I want to know what your aha moment was from today's training with Rob from vidIQ. And Rob, right now you guys have a 30-day free trial of vidIQ plan at vidIQ.com/think. What do they get when they go and get the free plan, Rob?
Oh, what don't you get? There is so much at vidIQ. We've been building our tools now for I think it became a Chrome extension like in 2013,
Mhm.
and a lot of the tools that we have are still there. But if I was to go back from our most recent tools backwards, we introduced a daily ideas tool a couple of months ago, whereby once you start publishing content on your channel, vidIQ will offer you up to 50 daily ideas. So that's a thousand plus ideas every single month. And even if you just take like 1 or 2% of those ideas and transform it into video content, that will keep you going for years on YouTube. We've also got our channel audit tool, which is kind of a complement to the YouTube Studio data. We'll try and break down certain things in terms of what's performing really well on your channel right now, what other channels are suggesting content to your videos, and how you can leverage them. And then we've got keyword research. I mean, one of the things that I just love, I don't know about you, Heather, but ever since I installed vidIQ, YouTube kind of feels naked if I haven't got all of the little stats everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. It's like if I log into somebody else's computer, I'm thinking, hang on, why can't I see the video scorecard? Oh, that's not YouTube. That's actually vidIQ. So in terms of the 30-day free trial, you get access to all of our tools with no barriers, no padlocks or anything. And also our vidIQ Academy as well, where we do lots of learnings and teachings where, on a YouTube video, you usually spend no more than 20 minutes on a topic. We go into 3 hours on topics. Like I think there's a 30 video how to start your YouTube channel over 30 days learning academy, which is one of our flagship courses and has been for a couple of years now.
I love it. And I love vidIQ so much. It helps me in all of the content creation that we're doing. And that video ideas was a game changer. I mean, you're doing the work for us in that respect of just giving us the ideas that people want. So make sure you check that out. If you don't already have vidIQ, go to vidiq.com/think. Now we're going to get into Q&A real quick. You can drop your aha moment from today's training with Rob in the comments if you're watching live, or if you're on the replay, make sure to drop your aha there. I love to go back in the comments, read through those and see what value you're getting from trainings just like this. And if you're not already subscribed to our actual podcast, you don't want to miss tomorrow's episode because we're diving into how to deal with toxic people that don't support you on YouTube. Do you feel like maybe you're failing on YouTube because no one in your life really supports what you're trying to create? I think you'll be surprised at our answer that we have for that. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can listen to tomorrow's podcast. Or if you go anywhere that podcasts are where you can listen to them are like Apple and Spotify, you can get tomorrow's episode, as well as I think we're almost to over 100 episodes on the podcast as well. So make sure you subscribe for that tomorrow. And Rob, we're going to jump into some Q&A. And we actually had a super chat that came in while you were talking. So I want to say thank you for the super chat. Super chat. I want like a super chat, like ding. Do you have audio, like an audio face where you can make fun sounds? Sean just got one and I'm jealous now. I feel like I need one.
I can do this.
There we go.
But I
there
haven't
we
got
go.
any sound effects yet.
I love that. I love that. So here's the one that we got for the super chat. How important is it to maximize current trends, as in time frame of 24 hours, 12 hours, etc.? Now, we one of the ways that we say you can dominate on YouTube is by trend surfing, which just means that if there's a trend in your niche that you can talk about, maybe there's a new product that's out, or maybe something in our like a cultural trend is happening. If you can jump on that trend as soon as possible, you can actually start to get views because people are interested in whatever that thing is. So for us, that would be like a new camera that drops, a new lens that drops. When our friend Pat Flynn released the Switch Pod, doing a video on that, like culturally in our niche, it's really important that you jump on those trends. But here's what I don't like, Rob, is sometimes people will see a trend and they'll just sit on the trend and they'll wait on the trend. And then they make a video about the trend. And you're like, oh, trends don't work. But you got to hit the trend when the trend is happening. Right, Rob?
Yeah. One of the things we pride ourselves on at vidIQ is bringing a creator's viewpoint and opinion to YouTube updates. So examples of this recently have been the community tab being lowered to 500 subscribers as a requirement, YouTube hiding public dislikes, YouTube Shorts monetization. Whenever I see a news story like that, that is a trend within YouTube education. So we jump on it as quickly as possible. And I think we've got to a point now where people almost come to vidIQ for that non-YouTube polished up press release on a topic. But yeah, trend surfing is a shortcut to massive channel growth. But because of that, and because so many creators are aware of that, it is extremely competitive. So being one of the first, obviously, is absolutely critical. But also finding a unique angle to it, or really nailing down on one specific point of that trend. An example in my past is when Apple were releasing iPhones, and it was very difficult to record the screen. So, in new iOS releases, people are really excited about the new camera features, how the home screen is going to change. But I saw that one little thing about how to record your phone or your iPad, which used to be very difficult. And I focused on that. And I built up an audience for that very particular thing. Talking about that ideal viewer, the ideal viewer being, I want to record using my iPhone and iPad, and I can't do it. And I told people how to do it multiple times. The other thing also to appreciate is how can you make it so that your viewers don't just feel as if you're jumping on a trend for the sake of it. You're actually turning that trend into something that's culturally relevant for you and your audience. For example, animation channels are maybe turning a story into a quick animation that not only includes the story, but also maybe some of their characters, or when somebody's crafting something, they're building maybe an Iron Man helmet, but because they're a woodcrafter, they're doing the, an antique version of it, or in some fashion. It's how can you make something that's culturally relevant to millions of people, really relevant to your corner of YouTube.
Yep, and trends matter. I mean, it really does. And even thinking about how thinking about like Nolan did that trend on Netflix. Netflix is kind of just a cultural thing that's happening. Might as well pull it in and make it relevant to what you're actually doing. I love that you said too, Rob, dominate. That's what you want to do. You want to like keep making videos around that same topic so you can dominate on that trend and become the go-to person for that. I'm going to take a sip of my apple cider real quick, Rob, because it's Thanksgiving week here in the US. And Tony, the producer, is going to put another question on the screen for us.
Oh, it's a surprise, is it? A mystery?
Ooh,
Oh, here we
surprise
go.
questions. What would you say are 3 signs you need to pivot your channel? Rob.
Okay, so I think the first thing would be a reduction in return viewers, because that means your core audience, your sticky audience of people who like your content the most, it's not resonating with them as much. That would be the first thing. And I'm going to hand it over to Heather for the second point while I think of the third point.
I know I was like, I'm going to pass this one to Rob because maybe he has something right away. All right. So, what would you say are the 3 signs? So, my first thing in pivoting your channel is looking at if you are consistently making content on a certain topic and you're not seeing that topic is one that's popping off, right? That one is going. But maybe you made a video in the past. We see this a lot. They'll make that one video and they're like, yeah, that was fun, but I'm going to make top videos on this. And then we look at their channel and I'm like, no, this is the topic you should make videos on. This is showing what your audience wants. So I think one of the 3 signs is what are your analytics saying? Are you actually in your analytics seeing what videos your audience wants and what types of videos you should be creating? You might want to create whatever video you want, but if you're really at this because you want to grow a YouTube channel that can get monetized, that can create a business, that can give you financial freedom and time freedom and allow you to be creative. I mean, that's big picture things, but you have to start with actually like serving what people want. I think about this as like when I go to a restaurant, I want what's on the menu. I'm not at the restaurant because I'm like, you know what? I think I want this random thing. No, I am at this restaurant because I want to eat this type of food. And so, what dishes are you serving up to your audience? And what dishes are they coming back for over and over again? If you've got something on your menu that all of a sudden is like everyone's coming in and ordering that chicken salad thing, then you want to make more chicken salads because it'll help your channel grow, and then you can start talking about more topics than just that one thing. Rob, number 3.
Yeah, okay. I've had a little time to digest the question. I think it comes back to the concept of seasonality, in the sense that it might not necessarily be that your channel is dying and you need to pivot. It's a case of this time of year. It means that your audience isn't. It doesn't have, like, for example, I assume that you're some sort of outdoors channel. So maybe as we move into the winter months, people aren't thinking about that, but what they're maybe thinking about is what they're going to buy and purchase during Black Friday to prepare for going outdoors in the spring. So that might be something to potentially consider in terms of seasonality. But if you've gone through maybe a year, 2 years, and the channel seems to be down, and it seems like there's fundamentally a shift is required in your channel as a whole. But if it's just seasonality, then it's just maybe that the focus on the particular topics that you need to realign for the time of year.
Really, really great, Rob. I want to shout out a few people that are here live. We're going to get to one more question today, and then we are going to head off to the next stream we have, or the next video we have. And make sure you subscribe so you can watch the podcast tomorrow. Last question on the screen is, all right, cruise vids perform best on my travel channel, but can't afford to cruise all the time. Should I just do travel tips and tricks because between cruising, even though views are way less comparatively? I got through that question, Rob. I should read it one more time. But
Yeah.
understanding the purpose is that this person does cruise videos, can't afford cruising all the time. Neither can I. I want the life where I can, Rob. That's actually what I'm working for, is the life where I can cruise all the time.
Mhm.
But what types of videos should they do between tips and tricks videos? What types of things would you recommend to someone with a channel like All Things Wagner?
I would imagine, oh, I've frozen. I'm
There you
back
are.
again.
You're back.
I would imagine that you are not alone in this struggle, in that you, can only do, the thing that you're talking about maybe 1 or 2 times a year. Uh, I guess a crossover channel might be, um, somebody who covers the theme parks. There's a lot of channels that do like Disney theme parks and Orlando theme parks, but they only get to go maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So I think doing research on what these other channels are up to when they're not actually on the activity, and you're right in the terms of it's probably about the tips and tricks in planning and preparing for these adventures. I would also think that if you are your channel's probably based on your experiences and your stories on the cruise. So I think making the content more personable, more relatable, so that even when you're not on a cruise, people want to come back and watch your content for you. Uh, that's something that's very difficult. That's kind of the crossover from making people come for your content and then falling in love with you, so that they keep watching, even if the content isn't necessarily aligned with their values anymore. So I think research. I think there's definitely channels in your same space that have that same issue, and they've hopefully the successful channels have figured out how to do a crossover between on a cruise or not on a cruise, planning and preparing for the next one.
Yeah, a couple more tips I would give too, especially if you're in the travel niche like this, is that you are already probably really good at finding deals on cruises.
Yeah.
Like if you've been a cruiser, you already know where to go, what websites to look at, what forums to read. All of those pieces are actually videos that you can create. So you could even do a video once a week about the best cruise deals in December, the best cruise deals in November. And all you're doing is just sourcing, screen sharing. You could use a software like we're using here, which is StreamYard. You can record the video or you could go live and you could just share screens of different programs. And then here's this, because my brain always goes business, Rob. You can sign up as affiliates for all of these websites. They have different types of affiliates. So if someone books a cruise through a travel website that has an affiliate for that, and they book that cruise that you recommended with your link, you get some money for someone booking a cruise. So you don't even necessarily have to be on a cruise. You can also think about ways that you can help other beginner cruisers. My mom actually is disabled, and so cruising was the way for her to be able to see the world. There's a whole avenue of things like that. Like, what are the accessibilities on the cruise ships? Which types of cabins should families of four get? Like, look at the questions that people are actually typing into the search bar. You can go to vidiq.com/think, and you can see the ideas that will probably pop up when you type this in. My brain's going crazy, Rob. I'm like, this person could become the cruising person. You could interview other people that maybe they went on their 100th cruise and they're also a website, or they're also a blog, or they're also a YouTube channel. You can interview them on their experience. There's so many ways that you can create videos. Don't get yourself in a box of thinking that one way of video is the only way of video. There are countless ways that you can create content on the platform, and it's just deciding that you're going to be open. You want to create this channel, you want to help and serve other people, and try and figure out these ways that you can do these tips and tricks videos between the cruising. And here's a big tip. When you go on your cruise, before you leave, what are the 10 video ideas you're going to do when you get back? What B-roll do you need? Like, I do this when I travel, Rob. I like write down what should I be getting photos of my family in a certain way so I can do like Instagram swipe ups? Should I be recording B-roll with the new camera that we're trying to test out, that we're going to do a video on in 3 weeks? Like, I'm thinking about these things. These are tips that you could use when you go on your next cruise to be able to have a plethora of B-roll or examples or video ideas before you even step a foot on the ship.
Yeah, I was just going to add there as well. I think just capturing far much more content than you think you need so that you can potentially repurpose that content. The idea I was thinking of is, let's say once you've been on 5 cruises, which I assume you probably have at this point, you could then say, right, we can do a connecting piece of content where we review the best restaurants on each of these cruises. And so yes, you are repurposing content, but you're doing it with an entirely different direction, style, and voice that's going to keep you through those lean months when you find, you're looking for the next deal for the next cruise.
Yeah, and also last tip, because I love these kind of questions, are research your competition. What are the 5 to 10 other channels that are doing cruise type content? What, when you go to their best performing videos, what are those topics? Because that's showing you exactly your audience and what they like to, and what content they like. And here's the thing, if it's a bigger channel, and I mean bigger, like over maybe 10,000, they probably aren't able to get to all their comments. There are questions and video ideas in those comments that you can pull from as a supportive channel to the bigger channel. That's a huge idea where it's like, I don't know what to do. Do videos that people are asking specific questions. Well, Rob, I want to thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for being a part of what we're doing here at Think Media. Where can people find you, Rob, online?
Well, a few years ago, I was melted down into my constituent parts, so I no longer have any personal um, internet handles or anything. I'm just at vidIQ. I'm an essence. I am a being of vidIQ. So if you send a tweet or a message to vidIQ, chances are I will see it, and chances are I will be the one responding to it. So at vidIQ.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Rob, for being on today. You can get your free trial of vidIQ over at vidiq.com/think. And make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you can get all of our content that we have coming up in the future. I want to thank you for being a part of the Think Media family. Thank you for being on the live stream if you are live today, or for watching this on the replay and commenting in the comments. You can tap or touch the screen to watch the next video here on the YouTube Made Simple show, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye, fam.